They say you can't plan who you fall in love with. That love doesn't follow rules, or timelines, or the careful scripts we write for our lives. I never believed that. I thought love was predictable, that I knew exactly who I was and what I wanted. Then Emily walked through my door with a simple smile and a kind heart, and everything I thought I knew about myself unraveled. She was supposed to take care of my daughter. Instead, she taught me what it means to truly live. This is the story of how I stopped following rules and started following my heart. This is the story of how the nanny became home. My name is Michelle, and I'm 32 years old. If you had told me 2 years ago that my life would look the way it does now, I would have laughed. Not because I didn't believe in change, but because I thought I knew exactly who I was. I thought I had myself all figured out, but life has a way of surprising you when you least expect it. 2 years ago, my marriage ended. It wasn't dramatic or violent. It was just over. My ex-husband and I had grown into strangers, sharing a house, and one day we both admitted it. The divorce was civil, quick, and left me with full custody of our 4-year-old daughter, Lily. She was my world. She still is. After the divorce, I did what I always do when life gets hard. I threw myself into work. My marketing job became my escape, my distraction, my proof that I was still capable of something. I worked late nights, early mornings, weekends. I told myself I was building a future for Lily, securing our stability. But the truth was simpler. I was running from the loneliness. Lily deserved better than a mother who was always exhausted, always distracted, always trying to be in 2 places at once. She deserved someone who could give her their full attention, who could play with her, laugh with her, be present for her in ways I couldn't manage while juggling conference calls and client presentations. That's when I decided to hire a nanny. I spent weeks going through profiles online, dozens of them. Young women with bright smiles and impressive resumes, older women with decades of experience, people who seemed perfect on paper but somehow didn't feel right. I was looking for something I couldn't quite name. Someone safe, someone warm, someone Lily would love. Then I found Emily's profile. She was 28, 6 years younger than me. Her resume showed 3 years of experience working with children, glowing references from previous families, certification in early childhood education. But it wasn't any of that which made me stop scrolling. It was her photo. She wasn't what you'd call traditionally beautiful. Not like the polished, magazine-perfect women in some of the other profiles. Her photo was simple. She wore a plain blue sweater, her light brown hair falling naturally around her shoulders, and she was smiling. Not a posed, professional smile, but a real one. The kind that reached her eyes and made you feel like she was genuinely happy to be there. I stared at that photo longer than I should have. There was something about her, something warm and genuine that pulled at me. I sent her a message that same night. We scheduled an interview for the following Tuesday morning. I remember that day so clearly. It was early spring, one of those mornings where the air still has a bite to it, but the sun promises warmth later. Lily was still asleep when the doorbell rang at 9 o'clock sharp. I had been awake for hours, cleaning the kitchen for the 3rd time, rearranging the living room pillows, trying to make everything look effortlessly put together. I opened the door, and there she was. Emily stood on my doorstep in jeans and a plain white t-shirt, her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. No fancy interview outfit, no nervous energy. She just looked comfortable, real. "Hi," she said, and her voice was exactly like her smile, warm and genuine. "I'm Emily. You must be Michelle." "Yes. Hi, come in," I said, stepping aside. "Thank you for coming." She walked into my house, and I noticed the way she looked around, not judging or analyzing, but taking it in with genuine curiosity. Her eyes lingered on the photos on the wall, the toys scattered near the couch, the crayon drawings stuck to the refrigerator with magnets. "Your home is lovely," she said. "It feels lived in, happy." Something about the way she said it made my chest tighten. Happy. Was it happy? I wanted it to be. Thank you, I said. Can I get you some coffee? Tea? Coffee would be great. We sat at the kitchen table, and I started asking the standard interview questions. Her experience, her approach to childcare, her availability. She answered everything with that same calm confidence. Never pushy or overselling herself, just honest and clear. But what struck me most was how she asked questions, too. Not just polite, surface-level questions, but real ones. What's Lily's routine like? She asked, leaning forward slightly. What does she like to eat? What makes her laugh? How does she like to fall asleep? I found myself answering in detail, telling her about Lily's love of strawberries, how she insisted on wearing her purple dress at least twice a week, how she needed her stuffed bunny and 3 bedtime stories to fall asleep peacefully. Emily listened to every word, her green eyes attentive, nodding occasionally, absorbing everything I said. And as I talked, I caught myself thinking things I shouldn't have been thinking during a professional interview. She's so natural, I thought, so easy to talk to. There was something about her presence that made me feel calm, not nervous or judged, just seen. Like she genuinely cared about what I was saying. I noticed small things too. The way she tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear when she concentrated, the way her hands moved gently when she gestured, the softness in her voice. Stop it, I told myself. This is a job interview. Focus. Would you like to meet Lily? I asked, glancing at the clock. It was almost 10, and I could hear small footsteps padding down the hallway. I'd love to, Emily said, and her whole face lit up. A moment later, Lily appeared in the kitchen doorway, rubbing her eyes, her blonde hair a mess of tangles, still in her pajamas with the dancing bears on them. Mommy? She said sleepily. Good morning, baby, I said, holding out my arms. She shuffled over and climbed into my lap. This is Emily. She came to visit us today. Emily didn't do what most adults do when meeting a shy child. She didn't immediately reach out or speak too loudly or try to force interaction. Instead, she just smiled and waited. Hi, Lily, she said softly. Those are really cool pajamas. Are those bears dancing? Lily looked up at her with suspicious eyes, then down at her pajamas. She nodded slowly. I love dancing, Emily said. Do you like to dance? Another small nod. Maybe sometime you could show me your best dance moves, Emily said. But only if you want to. No pressure. And just like that, something shifted. Lily's guard came down. She slid off my lap and walked closer to Emily. Are you hungry? Emily asked. Would you like some juice? Lily nodded again, and Emily looked at me for permission. I gestured toward the refrigerator, and Emily stood up, moving easily through my kitchen like she'd been there before. She found a cup, poured apple juice, and crouched down to Lily's level to hand it to her. Here you go, she said gently. Lily took the juice and didn't leave Emily's side for the rest of the morning. I watched them together, my heart doing something strange in my chest. Emily played blocks with her, read her a story, listened to her rambling 4-year-old explanations about her stuffed animals and their elaborate backstories. She was patient, engaged, genuinely delighted by every little thing Lily said. By noon, I knew I was going to hire her. By the time she left that afternoon, Lily was asking when Emily would come back. Soon, sweetheart, I promised. Very soon. I called Emily that evening and offered her the position. Full-time, starting the following Monday. She accepted immediately, and I could hear the smile in her voice. Thank you, Michelle, she said. I promise I'll take good care of Lily. I know you will, I said, and I meant it. That first month was strictly professional. Emily arrived every morning at 7 o'clock sharp, always punctual, always prepared. She took Lily to preschool, picked her up in the afternoon, played with her, fed her healthy meals, followed the routine I'd established. When I came home in the evenings, she'd give me a quick rundown of the day, pack up her things, and leave with a friendly wave. It was exactly what I'd hired her for. Perfect, really. But gradually, things started to shift. It started small. I'd come home and instead of rushing out, Emily would linger for a few minutes. We'd talk about Lily's day, and then somehow we'd be talking about other things too. She told me about her family, how she'd grown up with two older brothers who'd taught her to be tough but also taught her kindness, how she'd loved drawing as a child, spent hours sketching in notebooks, but eventually studied early childhood education because she loved working with kids. I found myself opening up too, telling her about work stress, about difficult clients, about how hard it was to balance everything after the divorce. She never offered unsolicited advice or empty platitudes. She just listened, really listened, in that way she had. And I started noticing things I shouldn't have been noticing. The way she looked at Lily with such tenderness, like my daughter was the most precious thing in the world. The way she stroked Lily's hair when my daughter fell asleep on the couch during movie time. The way she laughed, free and genuine, when Lily made up silly stories about talking clouds and dancing trees. I caught myself staring at her longer than I should, watching her hands as she washed dishes in my sink, noticing how she tucked her hair behind her ear when she concentrated on something. The curve of her smile, the way her eyes crinkled at the corners when she laughed. She's so real, I thought, so genuinely kind. And then I'd catch myself and feel a flutter of something like panic. What are you doing? I'd think. She's the nanny. She's younger than you. She works for you. This is completely inappropriate. I'd never thought about women that way before. Never. My life had followed the expected path. High school boyfriend, college relationship, marriage to a man, a child. It had all been so normal, so predictable, so straight. But Emily was different. She made me feel different. I started keeping my distance, telling myself firmly that whatever I was feeling needed to stop. I kept our interactions brief and professional, even though part of me wanted to linger, wanted to keep talking, wanted to know everything about her. But the more I tried to pull away, the more impossible it became. We started spending more time together, almost by accident. I'd take a day off work, and somehow we'd all end up going to the park together. Emily would carry Lily when my daughter got tired, and I'd walk beside them, wanting to be closer but not knowing how to bridge that gap without crossing a line. I wasn't sure I was allowed to cross. One afternoon, we sat on a park bench while Lily played on the swings. The sun was warm, the air smelled like cut grass, and everything felt peaceful. "She's just like you," Emily said suddenly, watching Lily. "Stubborn, determined, won't take no for an answer." I laughed. "Is that a compliment or a complaint?" "Definitely a compliment," Emily said, and she turned to look at me. Her eyes held mine for a moment longer than necessary, and I felt my breath catch. I looked away first, my heart pounding. What is happening to me? I started flirting without realizing it. Little comments that slipped out before I could stop them. "You look nice today," I'd say when she wore a new sweater. "You're the best nanny we've ever had," I'd tell her, and then realize we'd only ever had one nanny. And the comment sounded far more personal than professional. Emily would smile at these comments, a small, knowing smile, but she never responded in kind. I couldn't tell if she didn't understand what I was doing, or if she did understand and was politely ignoring it. Inside, I was at war with myself. This isn't who you are, I'd think. You can't feel this way. What will people say? What about Lily? What about your job, your life, everything you've built? But every time Emily was around, I felt warm, safe, like I could breathe properly for the first time in years. I started inventing reasons for her to stay longer, offering dinner, suggesting we watch a movie after Lily went to bed, asking if she wanted to help me plan Lily's birthday party even though it was months away. She always said yes. We'd cook together in my kitchen, moving around each other in an easy rhythm. Lily would fall asleep on the couch, and we'd talk late into the night about everything and nothing. Old movies she loved, books I'd meant to read, places we wanted to travel, dreams we'd put aside. I'd catch myself wanting to touch her hand when passing her a plate, wanting to brush her hair back when it fell across her face, wanting to close the distance between us on the couch. But I always held back. Always. Until the night I couldn't anymore. It was a Thursday evening in late June. I remember because Lily had been talking all day about summer vacations starting soon, about going to the pool, about ice cream and fireflies. Emily had listened to every excited word, promising adventures and fun, and by 8 o'clock, my daughter was so exhausted from her own enthusiasm that she fell asleep earlier than usual. Emily had stayed for dinner, which had become our routine by then. We'd cooked pasta together, Lily helping by arranging the napkins on the table in elaborate patterns. After we put Lily to bed, I'd expected Emily to leave like she usually did, but she lingered in the living room. "I was thinking," she said, a slight nervousness in her voice that I'd never heard before. "Remember when I told you about those old movies I love? There's one I've been wanting to watch again. It's called Brief Encounter. Have you seen it?" I shook my head. "I don't think so. I haven't watched an old movie in years. Maybe not since college." "We should fix that," Emily said, and there was something in her eyes, something hopeful and tentative at the same time. "Would you want to watch it tonight? I mean, if you're not too tired." I should have said no. I should have made up an excuse about work emails or an early morning meeting. I should have created distance, maintained boundaries, protected myself from whatever this feeling was that kept growing inside me. Instead, I said, "I'd like that." We settled on the couch, not close but not far either, a careful distance that felt both safe and agonizing. Emily pulled up the movie on her phone and connected it to my TV. The black and white images filled the screen, and I tried to focus on the story, on the 1940 setting, on the characters meeting by chance in a train station. But I was acutely aware of Emily beside me, the way she pulled her knees up, wrapping her arms around them, the way she smiled at certain scenes, the way she glanced at me occasionally, as if checking to see if I was enjoying it. The movie was beautiful, achingly so. Two people meeting by accident, falling in love despite themselves, despite all the reasons they shouldn't. I felt every moment of their longing, their conflict, their desire for something they thought they couldn't have. And then there was a scene where the characters kissed. It wasn't passionate or dramatic. It was tender, desperate, full of everything they'd been holding back. The music swelled, and I felt tears prick my eyes. "That's beautiful," I whispered, my voice barely audible. Emily turned to look at me. We were closer than I'd realized. Close enough that I could see the flecks of gold in her green eyes, close enough to feel the warmth radiating from her. "Michelle," she whispered, and my name on her lips sounded like a question, like a prayer, like everything I'd been too afraid to say out loud. She leaned in slowly, giving me every opportunity to pull away, to stop this, to maintain the careful boundaries we'd been dancing around for months. I didn't move. I couldn't move. I didn't want to move. Her lips touched mine, soft and warm and perfect. It was gentle, tentative, like she was afraid I'd push her away or come to my senses, or remember all the reasons this was impossible. I froze, every nerve in my body suddenly alive and screaming. My mind went blank, then flooded with 1,000 thoughts at once. "This is happening. This is really happening. Emily is kissing me. I should stop this. I can't stop this. I don't want to stop this." She pulled back slightly, just enough to search my face, her eyes wide with fear and hope and something that looked like love. Then she kissed me again, slower this time, more certain. Her hand came up to brush my cheek, so gentle it almost broke me. Everything inside me melted. Every wall I'd built, every rule I'd tried to follow, every fear I'd been carrying. It all dissolved in that moment, leaving only this: Emily's lips on mine, her breath mixing with mine, her hand cradling my face like I was something precious. I kissed her back. My lips pressed against hers with all the longing I'd been suppressing for months. It felt like breathing for the first time, like coming home, like finding something I didn't know I'd been searching for my entire life. Her kiss was gentle but intense, soft but consuming. I tasted her, the faint hint of the tea we'd had with dinner, the sweetness that was just her. When we finally pulled apart, we sat there staring at each other, both of us breathing hard, both of us looking stunned. "I'm sorry," Emily said quickly, her voice shaking. "I didn't plan this. I've wanted to for so long, but I didn't plan." "Don't apologize," I interrupted, my own voice trembling. "Please don't apologize." And then I kissed her. This time I initiated it, closing the distance between us, my hands finding her waist, pulling her closer. Her arms wrapped around my neck, and we kissed like we'd been starving for it, like we'd been holding back forever and couldn't hold back anymore. It felt right. It felt more right than anything in my life had ever felt. When we broke apart again, we were both crying. Happy tears, scared tears, relieved tears all mixed together. "I felt this for months," Emily admitted, her forehead resting against mine. "Since almost the beginning. I thought I was crazy. I thought you'd never. I mean, you have Lily, and you were married, and I'm just the nanny, and I was so scared." "I know," I said, cutting off her rambling. "I've been scared too. I didn't understand what I was feeling. I've never felt this way about a woman before. About anyone, really. Not like this." "Really?" Emily pulled back to look at me, her eyes searching mine. "Really," I confirmed. "My whole life, I thought I knew who I was. I thought love looked a certain way, followed certain rules. But you?" I touched her face, tracing the line of her jaw. "You changed everything. You made me realize I'd been following a script that wasn't mine." We talked for hours that night, sitting on the couch, holding hands, sometimes kissing, sometimes just looking at each other like we couldn't believe this was real. We cried and laughed and admitted things we'd been too afraid to say. Emily told me she'd known she liked women since high school, but she'd never felt anything as strong as what she felt for me. She'd watched me with Lily, seen the kind of mother I was, the kind of person I was, and fallen completely. I told her about my confusion, my fear, my constant internal battle between what I thought I should feel and what I actually felt. How every time she left my house, I felt empty. How every time she smiled at me, my heart raced. How I'd been terrified of what it meant but couldn't stop feeling it. "What do we do now?" Emily asked as the clock crept past midnight. I looked toward the hallway where Lily slept peacefully, unaware that her mother's world had just shifted on its axis. Then I looked back at Emily, at this woman who'd become so much more than a nanny, who'd become essential to both me and my daughter. "I don't know," I admitted. "But I know I don't want to pretend this didn't happen. I don't want to go back to keeping my distance and telling myself I don't feel what I feel." "Neither do I," Emily said firmly. "Stay tonight," I said suddenly. The words came out before I could second-guess them. Not like, I mean, just stay. Sleep here, with me. "I just want to hold you." Emily's eyes filled with fresh tears. "Are you sure?" "I've never been more sure of anything." We checked on Lily one more time, my daughter sleeping soundly with her stuffed bunny clutched to her chest. Then we went to my bedroom, and I lent Emily some clothes to sleep in. We climbed into bed together, tentative at first, then finding each other in the darkness. Emily wrapped her arms around me, and I pressed my back against her chest, her chin resting on my shoulder. We fit together perfectly, like two puzzle pieces that had been separated and finally found their way back. "This feels like a dream," Emily whispered in my ear. "If it is, don't wake me up," I whispered back. We fell asleep like that, holding each other, and I slept better than I had in years. The next morning, I woke up before dawn, the way I always did. But instead of immediately reaching for my phone or making my mental to-do list for the day, I just lay there and watched Emily sleep. Her face was peaceful, her breathing slow and steady. One arm was draped across my waist, holding me close even in sleep. My heart felt so full it ached. This is real, I thought. This actually happened, and I don't regret it. I heard Lily stirring in her room and carefully extracted myself from Emily's embrace. My daughter appeared in my doorway moments later, rubbing her eyes. "Mommy, I'm hungry," she announced. "Let's go make breakfast, baby," I said quietly, guiding her out of the room so Emily could sleep. We were in the kitchen making pancakes when Emily appeared, looking adorably rumpled in my old college t-shirt, her hair a mess. "Emily!" Lily shrieked happily, abandoning the bowl she'd been stirring. "You stayed! Did you have a sleepover with Mommy?" Emily's eyes met mine over Lily's head, both of us holding our breath. "I did," Emily said carefully. "Is that okay?" "That's so cool," Lily said. "Can we have sleepovers more?" "Maybe," I said, my heart pounding. "We'll see." Over the next few days, Emily and I talked seriously about what this meant. We couldn't keep our relationship hidden from Lily indefinitely, but we needed to be careful, thoughtful. She was only 4 years old, and she needed stability, not confusion. We also couldn't maintain our current arrangement. Emily couldn't be my employee and my girlfriend. It wasn't appropriate, and it wasn't fair to either of us. "I need to find another nanny for Lily," I said one evening. We were sitting on my back porch while Lily played in the yard. "And you need to stop being just the nanny." Emily looked at me, understanding and relief flooding her face. "What would I be instead?" I took her hand. "You'd be mine, if you want to be." "I want to be," she said, without hesitation. The transition was harder than I expected. Finding a new nanny meant interviews and adjustments, and Lily asking constantly why Emily wasn't coming to take her to school anymore. But Emily came over every evening now, not as an employee, but as my partner. And slowly, Lily began to understand that Emily's role in our lives had changed, but not diminished. A month after that first kiss, Emily moved in. She showed up with boxes of her belongings, her 2 brothers helping carry furniture, both of them giving me assessing looks that made me nervous. But when they saw how Lily launched herself at Emily, shrieking with joy that "Emily is living with us forever now," something in their expressions softened. "Take care of my sister," one of them said to me before leaving. "I will," I promised. With everything I have, Emily's things mixed with mine, her books on my shelves, her toothbrush beside mine in the bathroom, her clothes in my closet, we shared a bed every night, holding each other, talking about our days, planning our tomorrows. Lily adjusted faster than I'd expected. She started calling Emily Mommy Emily, which made both of us cry the first time we heard it. She'd crawl between us on the couch during movie nights, holding both our hands, completely secure in the knowledge that she was loved by both of us. "I have 2 mommies," she told her friend at preschool one day, according to her teacher. "That means I get double hugs." The world didn't end when we came out as a couple. It didn't even shake. My mother asked careful questions when she noticed Emily's permanent presence in our lives, and when I finally told her the truth, she simply hugged me and said, "Does she make you happy?" "Yes," I said. "So happy. Then that's all that matters." Emily's brothers teased her at first, making jokes about finally bringing someone home. But when they saw how we were together, how Lily bloomed with both of us, they became protective and supportive. One of them even told Emily, "You've found your person. That's rare. Hold on to her." We didn't hide, but we didn't announce either. At preschool pickup, we were just 2 moms. When Lily told people, "That's my mommy and my Emily," we didn't correct her or elaborate. To her, it was normal. We were her normal. Emily started drawing again, something she'd given up years ago. She'd sketch while Lily napped, filling notebooks with images of our life. Lily sleeping with her bunny. Me laughing at something on my phone. The 3 of us on the couch. She framed one drawing 3 stick figures holding hands, simple but perfect, and hung it in the hallway. I passed it every single day and smiled. We developed routines that felt like ours. Saturday morning pancakes became sacred. Emily flipped them, showing off by making them into funny shapes. Lily poured the syrup with intense concentration. I cut up fruit and made coffee. We'd eat together, sticky and happy, planning our day. Evenings were for 3 books. Lily picked one for each of us to read. Emily did all the character voices, dramatic and silly. I did the sound effects, making Lily giggle. Then, lights out, goodnight kisses from both of us, and it was just Emily and me. Those quiet nights became my favorite time. We'd lie in bed, her hand in mine, talking about everything and nothing. "What do you want?" Emily asked me one night, about 6 months after she'd moved in. For the future, I mean. Big picture. I thought about it, tracing patterns on her palm. "Nothing big," I finally said. "Just this. Maybe a trip somewhere warm. Maybe a dog. Though Lily's been asking for a cat. You?" "I want to open a small art studio for kids," Emily admitted. "Teach them to draw, to create, to express themselves." "I've been thinking about it for years." "You should do it," I said immediately. "I could cut my hours at work, help with Lily more, give you time to make it happen." "You'd do that?" Emily turned to look at me in the dim light. "Of course I would. We're a team. Your dreams are my dreams now." She kissed me then, soft and sweet. "I love you, Michelle. I know I've said it before, but I need you to know. I really, truly love you." "I love you too," I said, and meant it with every cell in my body. "You and Lily, you're my everything." We'd been together for a year and a half now, and some mornings I still woke up amazed. I'd watch Emily and Lily sleeping. Emily's arm usually draped over my daughter, both of them breathing in the same peaceful rhythm. And I'd think about how close I came to never having this. What if I'd never hired Emily? What if I'd been too scared to kiss her back? What if I'd let fear and other people's expectations dictate my choices? I would have missed this. All of this. This perfect, imperfect, beautiful life. There were still challenges, of course. My ex-husband had questions when Lily mentioned having 2 mommies, but he'd remarried by then and seemed more relieved that Lily was happy than concerned about who I was dating. Some people at work made comments, subtle but present, and I learned to navigate those waters with polite firmness. But the challenges were small compared to the joy. Emily taught me to be myself, truly myself, for the first time in my life. She taught me that love doesn't follow rules or fit into neat boxes. She taught me that family is what you build, not what you're assigned. And I taught her to be braver, to take up space, to believe she deserved good things. We taught each other that love, real love, is worth the fear. Yesterday morning, something happened that made me realize how far we'd come. We were all eating breakfast, Emily making Lily laugh with some silly story about a dancing elephant, when Lily suddenly got very serious. "Mommy," she said, looking at me. "And Mommy Emily?" "Yes, baby," we both said at the same time, which made her giggle before she got serious again. "Will Emily always live with us? Forever and ever?" The question hung in the air. Emily's eyes found mine across the table, and I saw everything in that look. Love, hope, fear, joy, all mixed together. "Yes," I said firmly. "Forever and ever." Lily cheered, throwing her arms up in triumph. "I knew it! I told my friend you would. Can we get a puppy now?" Emily laughed, tears streaming down her face. I got up and wrapped my arms around both of them, holding my whole world in that embrace. "We'll talk about the puppy," I said, kissing the top of Lily's head, then leaning over to kiss Emily's lips softly. But yes, to forever. That night, after Lily was asleep and Emily and I were curled up on the couch, she turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked quietly. "Coming out, changing your whole life, dealing with people's questions and judgments?" I didn't have to think about my answer. Never. Not for a single second. "You know what I regret?" "What?" All those years I spent living someone else's version of my life, following rules that weren't mine, being who I thought I was supposed to be instead of who I actually am. I cupped her face in my hands. You didn't change me, Emily. You helped me find myself. And I'll never regret that. She kissed me. And it still felt like that first kiss, like breathing for the first time, like coming home. I used to be so scared, I continued when we broke apart. Scared of what people would think, scared of being different, scared of loving you. But you know what I learned? What? Love doesn't have rules. It doesn't care about gender or expectations or what your life plan was supposed to be. It just is. And when it's real, when it's right, it's worth every single moment of fear. Emily rested her head on my shoulder, and we sat there in comfortable silence, the kind that only comes when you're completely at ease with another person. Thank you, she whispered. For what? For being brave enough to love me back. For giving us a chance. For building this life with me. Thank you for being patient, I said. For waiting while I figured myself out. For loving Lily like she's yours. For making our house a home. We sat there as the night deepened around us, holding each other, secure in what we'd built together. This is home, I thought. Not for the first time and not for the last. Not perfect, but real. Complicated sometimes, challenging sometimes, but always, always worth it. Emily fit, Lily fit, we fit. And I realized something profound in that moment. I'd spent 32 years looking for happiness in all the places I thought I was supposed to find it. In doing what was expected, following the path laid out before me, checking boxes on someone else's list. But real happiness, the kind that fills you up and spills over, the kind that makes you grateful for every ordinary moment that happiness came when I stopped following rules and started following my heart. It came in the form of a nanny with kind eyes and a gentle smile who loved my daughter like her own and loved me like I'd never been loved before. It came in shared pancake breakfasts and bedtime stories, in quiet conversations after dark and stolen kisses in the kitchen, in stick figure drawings hung in hallways and the words, forever and ever, spoken with absolute certainty. I'd spent so long being afraid of this, afraid of different, afraid of judgment, afraid of stepping outside the lines. But love, I learned, lives outside the lines. It exists in the spaces between what we plan and what actually happens, in the unexpected turns that lead us to exactly where we're supposed to be. My name is Michelle, and I'm 32 years old. I'm a single mother to a beautiful 4-year-old daughter named Lily. And I'm in love with a woman named Emily who started as our nanny and became our everything. This is my story. This is our story, and I wouldn't change a single chapter. If you're listening to my story right now, maybe you see yourself in it. Maybe you're scared like I was. Maybe you're hiding who you really are because you think love has to look a certain way. Maybe you're standing at the edge of something beautiful, but you're too afraid to take that step. I want you to know something. I was you. I was terrified. I thought coming out would cost me everything. I thought being different meant being wrong. But the truth is, hiding who you are costs so much more. Your story matters. Your love matters. Whether you're figuring out who you are, or you've known all along but been too scared to live your truth, I'm here to tell you, it's worth it. Every difficult conversation, every moment of uncertainty, every leap of faith, it's all worth it when you finally get to be yourself. If my story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to Love Beyond Rules. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment and tell me your story. I read every single one, and your words give me courage too. Remember, love doesn't follow rules. It just is. And you deserve to live yours out loud. Thank you for listening to my journey. Thank you for being part of this community, where love in all its forms is celebrated. Until next time, be brave, be yourself, be loved. This is Michelle, and this is my truth.